Digimon Story Time Stranger is my personal game of the year. Expedition 33 of course comes very close, but it's Digimon. It's always going to be Digimon for me. If I've got something amazing Digimon to talk about and play, it was very hard for that not to get game of the year for me, not for everyone. However, while I love the game, it is still replete with problems. You can tell this game was maybe not in development hell, but certainly in extended development. We lost Habu along the way. So this is going to be a video going over 10 things that I personally think Digimon Story Time Stranger desperately needs to fix or are just wrong with the game. It's obviously not going to be every issue, and you may have issues with things that I personally don't mind or just mind less. For example, I went into this game knowing exactly what the DLC was going to be, so I knew that was the price I was paying. I'm not mad at it. I wish I got different Digimon in the DLC, but anyway. So no, I haven't forgotten anything. I hate when people say that. I do a top 10 and people say, you forgot this. No, I didn't. It's a list of 10. It's things I most desperately want to see addressed in patches, DLC, and sequels. And yes, there will be spoilers for the whole game here, so if you've not completed the game, tune out now. What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome back to another video. If it's not welcome back, please do subscribe as we race towards 100,000 subscribers. And before we get started, the holidays are coming up. And whether you're going for a brisk Christmas Day walk or just trying to escape from the family for a little bit, keep your ears open and your holiday playlist rolling with Raycon's bone conduction headphones. This message is sponsored by Raycon. They are great for staying alert while I'm out on walks or honestly just kicking back. And for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you can save up to 30% on all Raycon audio products. Raycon's bone conduction headphones use off-ear audio, sending sound through vibrations in your bones. Your ears stay open to the world around you, while you still get crystal clear music, podcasts, or calls, because yes, they're Bluetooth. There are other bone conduction headphones I've used in the past that did not have Bluetooth. You had to preload stuff onto them, and honestly, it was kind of a headache, but these being Bluetooth from Raycon has been huge. Built for all-day use with 13 hours of battery life, IP68 waterproof and dustproof, meaning it can handle sweat, rain, even sandy beach runs, which as someone who lives by the beach in a country that rains a lot is very important. Plus a no bud fit that doesn't slip. Black Friday is around the corner. Raycon audio products are up to 30% off site-wide, from everyday essentials to the latest releases. It's the perfect time to upgrade your sound or get ahead on gifting. These early deals won't last long, so shop now before they're gone. Click my link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/KarnEXBC to get up to 30% off during Raycon's Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. Thank you to Raycon for sponsoring this video. So number 10, my first thing that I wish we could have in this game is 200% conversion leading to another version of the same Digimon species beginning to scan, instead of normally when you hit 200% only being able to scan again if you remember to convert. This is a very minor gripe, don't get me wrong, but again, these are my personal gripes. You may have others and it's still my absolute favorite Digimon game of all time, so these are just healthy criticisms from a place of love that I want to see improvements and updates on. They've already done hot fixes and updates that change some pretty fundamental stuff with the game balance, so I think they could go further here. I don't know whether I can explain this super easily, but in the game right now, you fight a Digimon, you get some scan conversion. Eventually you hit 200% convert, that's your upper limit for a Digimon with slightly better stats. However, you can't begin scanning another Digimon of the same species until you convert one. The game does tell you after every Digi attack or battle how much scan rate you've increased by. It's very easy to skip through that because it's not a Digiline message, it's just your battle results screen. And yeah, maybe it'll be broken, but I feel like if you're farming Digimon like this, you're probably in the end game anyway and trying to like get your field guide going or whatever it could be. So I'd like it that, for example, if I got a 200% scan on a Punimon, instead of having to convert to begin scanning Punimon, I could instead just have multiple 200% scan Punimons in my box to convert once I was done grinding battles. It's not majorly important, but for freaks like me who want a living field guide, it'd be so handy because it's so easy not to notice when you hit 200% scan on a Digimon when you're grinding and rerunning areas, and it would mean that you wouldn't have to go into the menu every time you get a 200% scan. You could just 200% scan a ton of the same Digimon and then convert them all in mass. This next one, honestly, I've seen so many people that don't know that you can even use these functions because they're in a separate menu. Put protect and nickname on the main Digimon status screen. Why would anyone assume going to your equipable screen would be where you'd go to nickname and protect Digimon? If you don't know, protecting Digimon means that they can't be accidentally load converted or anything like that, and they actually can be sorted into the protected category when you're sorting your box. It's a weird UI choice because it's not like like the two buttons you use to nickname and protect are used for a different function on the main screen. Protect is like R3, pressing the right stick in. You should be able to do that from the main screen. It's just adding an extra bit of annoyance every time you want to protect a Digimon, and the same with nicknaming. Another UI choice, I guess, is that I think the farm needs some overhauls. On the farm, and I think everyone agrees with this, you should be able to evolve your Digimon. Bare minimum, you should be able to view the stats required to evolve your Digimon. I don't mind taking them out to Digivolve, but I at least want to know my options in the farm, rather than either having to have Grinder Sort open or just taking pictures. My phone gallery during Time Stranger was full of pictures of evolution requirements I wanted. I think they could also expand the Digiline training. It's actually quite cool to be able to leave your Digimon training in the farm, and every time they complete training on, say, the attack punching bag, you can tell them to keep training that. This is useful if you find the farm boring, or if you just prefer to not spend a ton of money to quick complete training. However, it would be so much better if the Digiline gave you an option to switch your training options. So if you know that a Digimon needs like HP, attack, and spirit, set it a goal, or at the bare minimum, it should tell you what stat it reached in HP, and then ask if you want to switch to a different training item. Also, in the farm, they desperately need a memory cursor. It's so annoying to need to train, say, intelligence multiple times. So then you have to go into the training option, scroll down or up to intelligence, for example, choose it, quick complete, go to training again, scroll down to the right one again. Giving us quick complete training should also have given us a memory cursor, because the likelihood is that you're going to be training the same stat multiple times, even with the highest tier of training items. It can be an option in the menu, but my god, it's so annoying not to have it. Or they could also give us the option to immediately retrain the same thing we just trained, rather than having to manually select it each time. I think it would also be cool with the addition of evolution and evolution conditions to be viewable in the farm, if you could set evolution requirements as targets in the menu, so you don't need to keep referencing them. Like I talked about with the Digiline earlier, it would be cool if you could set up a training regime and say, okay, well, I want my Digimon to hit like 2000 HP, 2000 attack, 2000 spirit. Set up that training regime for your Digimon, feed them a certain amount, maybe it costs a little extra money, and then you can just leave them in the farm to train all of those stats to the level you want, without having to respond on Digiline every time it hits one requirement. My next one is a total Jogmon overhaul. I really do appreciate the fact that it's basically the Digimon VPET style of battles, but there doesn't really seem to be like any legitimate strategy to it, and that is a problem I've had with VPET battles too. I understand the systems of the levels versus the attributes, and I also understand the thing that like lower levels can sometimes win against higher levels and stuff like that, but it still ultimately comes down to RNG as to whether you're actually going to win, and it just doesn't feel satisfying, especially when 90% of the time you can't choose your cards. The game, instead of being a card game or a battle simulator, ends up being more of a logistics simulator, trying to work out which two cards you want to Jogress DNA Digivolve to make a new card that you don't have. It would be cool to see this spun off, make it more like Triple Triad, let me choose my cards, maybe even add multiplayer. And yeah, this probably doesn't work for the way the game is structured in Time Stranger itself, but going forward, either as I say a standalone title or in like the next story game, I think Jogmon 2.0 could be much more like Triple Triad or Sphere Break than a weird half card game, half VPET simulator that's actually more about combining cards for new cards. This next one truly baffles me. Why, in the in-between theater that we spend half the game or more watching things in the theater, can we not use the theater? Yes, we use the Akashic records to watch these amazing shadow puppet cutscenes that were handmade, as it turned out. They revealed the behind the scenes that all of these puppets were made real. Why not let us go to the in-between theater and re-watch those cutscenes? Hell, let me re-watch every cutscene from the in-between theater. It's literally a theater, and so many games have theater mode now. At the bare minimum, we should be able to re-watch all of these amazing shadow puppets, but I think every cutscene in the game would be cool too, because people are just going to re-watch them on YouTube. It'd be nice to be able to re-watch them within the confines of the game. Back to UI stuff, my number 5 pick is better box sorting options. The nickname function is so cool. Reminds me of characters from V-Tamer like Zero Maru, and World Redigitized like Catherine and Sasha. It's great for the Nuzlocke we're doing on Extra Juicy, our gaming channel, and was so fun to do during my streams because I got to name Digimon after people who supported the streams. But for the love of God, when I sort by name, I'd also love to be able to sort by species name, because right now, if I name a Plutomon Greg, when you sort by name, it doesn't sort by species name, it now sorts by whatever you've nicknamed them. So instead of being P for Plutomon, it's G for Greg. It makes filling your field guide so much more difficult, trying to remember every nickname corresponding to every Digimon. It almost feels like punishment for using a feature designed to make you feel closer to your Digimon. Personally, I would like more box sorting options, rather than what we have currently, which is like like name, attribute, protected, things like that. I would like them to add sorting by name brackets nickname and sorting by name brackets species. And while I have you, Bandai, an option to sort by field guide number would be fantastic too. As I say, I'm one of those freaks that likes to build a living field guide of Digimon, have every Digimon in the game in my box. And yeah, sure, it's not an intended feature and it's kind of silly, but it would just be nice to be able to sort by field guide number to know where I'm going, see where my gaps are. Also, when you nickname a Digimon, you should still show its species name in the stats screen. I personally didn't consider this, but my friend Tom told me he's seen TikToks of people who nicknamed their Digimon and then evolved them, and because the nickname was like Rick Sanchez, they had no idea what the evolved Digimon was called because the nickname, the permanent name for this Digimon, unless they removed the nickname, was just Rick Sanchez. So if you've got a Piximon named Rick Sanchez, when you go into its stats screen, it should tell you what its species name is too. This next one is more likely to be fixed by DLC or by future games rather than updates to this game, but there is some real lack of depth in some important characters. And I think this is a symptom of development probably being pretty significantly quickly wrapped up when Habu was kicked from the project. We hear a lot about what happens to Kodai Karemi after 8 years, for example, but we never see it. And now we have the Alternate Dimension DLC, which has a Kodai Karemi, although it's called Alternate Dimension. Blitzgreymon and Kreskarurumon are referred to as extra-dimensional beings. I have a suspicion that's not our Kodai Karemi. Or like even more of Kosuke. He basically just turns into a 2D Gaikari at the end there, with brief moments in side quests proving he's more well-rounded, but it really does feel like a lot of the motivations of characters, especially after the 8-year time jump, are very brief and very abridged. It's really to me where I believe the development got taken off Habu and put into Hara's hands and pushed to the finish line. It's less obvious, but I also think Ceresmon of the Olympos 12, while Sirenmon gets a ton of cool moments, I feel like they really rushed Ceresmon's return, and there's a few moments like healing Plutomon, which I feel like should have been side quests, but instead were just kind of taken care of through cutscene. Obviously, the answer to that is just be more efficient and give the game more time, and it already had 8 years, so I understand pushing things to the climax, but especially with Kodai Karemi and Kosuke Misono, I do feel like some characters got a little bit cut down in the later part of the game. This one's really more hard to implement, but my number 3 pick is let me use my party Digimon for more stuff. There's a cool endgame quest involving Minervamon wanting a Beelzemon, and you actually bring one in your party. These moments are sadly few and far between. Only really you need this elemental attack to do this Digi attack, and even then it's maybe like 5 times throughout the entire game, if that. Use it on an elevator, use it on some trash to get an outer dungeon, that's it. I think it'd be cool to have more quests of bring me this specific Digimon, or let's compare virus Digimon, and you have to bring 5 virus Digimon for a contest or something like that, would be pretty cool. I do hate to compare to Pokemon other than completely necessary, but there was a lot of cool quests like this in Legends Arceus, where you had to get specific Pokemon, or shiny Pokemon, or Pokemon of a specific size that someone wanted to look at, and then choose whether to give them over to the person or not for a reward. And I think you could do this in Digimon too, however, of course, Digimon puts a big priority on the bond between human and Digimon, so maybe not handing over your Digimon, but just inspiring someone by bringing them to them. I also think it'd be cool if your partner Digimon were more involved, if Digimon had little reactions to them. Like imagine if you brought an Olympos 12 member in your party to a battle, if a boss had the reaction of, oh, so you've recruited parallel members of the Olympos 12, huh? Or during the Royal Knight side quest, if you got the option to at least offer a Royal Knight from your box, but King Drazil said it wasn't her Royal Knight, so she couldn't accept. Maybe even have Omnimon recognize you as capable because you have an Omnimon in your party, rather than other methods. Just add a little more flavor to the situation, and honestly, while the Pixel party members in the credits is fantastic, just seeing our party in cutscenes more would have been awesome. We even know there are parallel universe, server, etc. groups of Olympos 12, because the Olympos 12 we fight in the final side quest of the game are not the ones we're recruiting in Time Stranger, so that sets that precedent. This again is probably more a DLC or sequel thing to fix, or just future game in general, but it bears remarking on, because I do think for a game so intrinsically about the bonds between human and Digimon, that it really becomes more about the bonds between us, Inori, and our guest party members, and guest party members is something that a lot of people are critical of this game, feeling like they went a little bit too far with it. I personally didn't mind, but I just wish my party Digimon mattered more overall. Though that final thing where they get de-Digivolved in the Chronomon fight, that was pretty sick. My penultimate pick is, why did they remove Digimon that were already in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's memory? I understand the Systemon are annoying because of the international divide after the baffling perception Systemon Noir would offend people in America, but honestly, well, it's just time to end that and just have Noir and CL exist in the same media, like CL showing up in Ghost Game. But even if we do have to keep that annoyance going, would it really have been that hard to make a Noir model for some countries and a CL model for others? Then there's Arcadiamon. I don't get this one at all. As I discussed in my removed video, Arcadia is literally from Greek myth. myth. I can't even pretend like it's some supposed V-Tamer legality or rights issue, because this game straight up has Kalismon from V-Tamer. Kalismon, by the way, also Greek mythology origin in Callisto, and from what it looks like, Parallelmon will be the root of the treble chords in the upcoming DLC. So like, why no Arcadiamon? Feels a pointless cut in my opinion, but Hoodiemon is particularly annoying to me. I discussed all of this in my remove video. Its origin is intrinsic to Hacker's memory, but that in zero way matters to Time Stranger. It's not that deep to have it in our party, and honestly would make up a little for Wormmon probably having the least deep set of Evos compared to its 0-2 brethren, unless that's fixed by the DLC. If Wormmon can't Armor Digivolve in the next game, it should at least get Hoodiemon. And like I said last time, the NX Digimon, I mean, they could have been a reward for doing all the Royal Knights quests, I guess. Yeah, we can probably leave them behind. There's also notable Digimon from World Next Order and Survive, like Meikumon, Gumdramon, Anubismon, and the Sovereign, also not being in the game, and DLC currently not seeming to address that, so that also seems like a massive oversight. But my final criticism of this game is the side quests. They feel hollow, especially the DLC costume side quests, often amounting to very little besides a glorified cutscene and maybe one battle. The public safety side quest in particular was kind of laughable, but the Cyber Sleuth mission wasn't too bad. I think the game in future DLC or a sequel could do more to break up the moment-to-moment gameplay using side quests. The outer dungeons having like racing and tower defense is fantastic. Or even moments like in the Dream World where you get this like side-on puzzle door section. It'd be cool to see the game itself have more of these moments too. Racing Digimon at a big raceway with our own ride Digimon rather than having to use Peckmon. Or during the Cyber Sleuth mission actually having to do a little hacking minigame. Maybe even Connect Jump, that would be fun. I will bundle this in here too, but especially in side quest, it'd be nice if our dialogue options amounted to anything. It doesn't have to be significant, but let it do something, you know? One of the few times that your dialogue options actually kind of matter is in the Gekomon teleporting, and what it matters is that you get teleported to the wrong place and might find a treasure chest. They don't have to be significant dialogue options, but let it do something, you know? Maybe if you do Minervamon's side quest and tell her love is stupid, she brings it up in the finale. One of the coolest payoffs to a side quest in the game is the optional Royal Knight cutscene you get for completing their quests. I had no idea this was a side quest because I blazed through it when I first played, so only Omnimon showed up in the endgame for me. Seeing every member of the Royal Knight show up instead when I played it for the second time on stream was incredible. More things like that would mean the world, and I absolutely think it'd be awesome if dialogue options paid off like that in the final game too, with Olympus 12 members, Titans, and others remembering the things you said to them. Maybe finding sickly Titan Digimon, having the option to give them an item from your inventory or some money or something like that, and them showing up in that final boss rush at the end to help you when they might not if you didn't. But perhaps that's getting a bit Telltale game. Alright, that is it. My 10 things that I think need to be most improved in Digimon Story Time Stranger or for Digimon games going forward. Let me know your picks in the comments down below, what you would fix about this game. Keep it civil though, let's not turn this into a big hate fest. Constructive criticism is healthy, being completely over the top and mean doesn't help anyone. Thank you to my sovereigns, ZDK14, Jeremy Babineau, Chaotic Prophet, and Lupus Lichlord. We got 4 sovereigns now. As fate intended, we just need one Fang Longmon back. I'm just kidding. And all my other patrons over on patreon.com/Karn EX, plus my amazing YouTube channel members here on YouTube. I do appreciate you all so much. I'll see you next time when we go digital. Bye bye.